Join spiritual feminist and empowerment coach Joni Advent Maher for Trust Your Sacred Feminine Flow. Listen in for intimate conversations about money, transformation, and feminine sovereignty. And now, your host, Joni Advent Maher.
Welcome to Trust Your Sacred Feminine Flow. I'm your host, Joni Advent Maher, mystic, spiritual midwife, and a transformational guide. And I have a special episode for you today about a very important topic. And I brought one of my besties, one of my soul sisters, to join me in the conversation. So welcome back for the third time, Semerit Strachan. Welcome, Semerit.
Thank you, Joni. It's always a delight to be in this conversation with you.
Thank you. So I just want to dive in and say that one of the gifts of sisterhood that I cherish in my relationship with Semerit is that there is a place that you and I inhabit, we conjure, we bring in together, that is a facet of the feminine that is so nourishing and supportive and healing for me. And it is just the context that I needed for this exploration and for this sharing about this subject. So,
and isn't it wild, Joni, that the place we get to when you and I get together for deep and sacred conversation is a place that neither one of us gets to on our own.
Yes, that is, it's interesting. Yeah, the synergy and the alchemy of how we each come together with our, I would say, divine feminine ray, or our essence.
Yeah, but what I think is germane to this conversation is that we love each other's company. We love each other's. We love being in conversation with one another, and it shines a light on this aspect of the feminine, which is that the sum is the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. That it's when we are in the collective that the fullness of our personhood is reached.
I love that. And yes, that's why I invited you on. Because in my experience, when we come together with our sisters, with our deep soul sisters, it really is like new worlds being born. Like that's what we create together, just through our conversation and our truth and our beingness. Yeah.
Yes.
So we haven't even gotten to the subject at hand. We're already, I feel like swimming in the waters of sacred feminine flow. Yeah, so I want to invite and invoke that, and also invite you, our dear listener, to, it's almost like imagine getting on the raft with us, or getting on the boat with us, and just feeling that gentle sway and that gentle rock of the sacred feminine flow, and imagining, if you can, that you can almost close your eyes and relax and go for the ride today with Semerit and I.
Mhm.
So what I want to share with you and open up for inquiry and exploration is something that I call sumptuous living. And for me, it is some threads of, it's both threads and aspects of various practices and sacred feminine wisdom that have been woven together through my life and my healing experience that I am meant to offer and to share and to teach about. It is a dimension of the divine feminine and a dimension of life that we can experience that I haven't heard anyone else speak about in quite the same way. And so I wanted to invite my dear friend Semerit to hold the space as we do some inquiry and some exploration with this concept, with this body of work that is evolving through me.
Mhm.
Hmm. So I'm just going to pause for a moment and say, Semerit, there's something I'm hearing in the background. I'm not sure what it is that sounds like it's not happening right now, but periodically like this whistling or tinkling sound.
Oh, maybe the wind chimes
Oh,
outside.
oh, is that what it is?
That's the only thing I can think of because I don't really have any background noise in the room. Um, I could change rooms easily.
No. It's perfect. It's perfect. So let's just go with that. So
Okay.
one of the key elements of sumptuous living, which in my experience is really an awakening journey through our sensual body. So of course there are wind chimes that are happening during this recording. So, and as I invited you to kind of come aboard with us and let yourself relax and just sink into the experience, that when we tune in this way, when we turn our senses on, when we tune into both those sounds that are happening around us or the sensations we experience in our body, or the tastes or the aromas, that when we can bring our awareness and into the body and start to activate from that place, it opens up our perceptual possibilities in a way that we can recognize not only the deeper essence and truth of who we are, but also there is an exquisite level of support and a sumptuous dimension of life that we have access to. And one of the reasons that this feels so critical and so important is because so many of us are being called to step up and step into our leadership in a more full way. This is the time when we are called, and it may be in our families, it may be in our communities, or it may be on a bigger stage that we're called to have impact. But these are the times that we all signed on for. that we said, I want to be here now. And I think we can all suffice to say that, that these are not, that they're messy times, that they're complex times, and they can be really challenging. And so we need this new level of resource, of support, of resilience, of capacity. So we need to expand what's possible in that way in order to be able to meet what we're being called to do in our lives.
So, Joni, I'd like to interject a question if I could.
Yes.
You're presenting two things, and isn't it the way of the feminine to bring two things apparently opposite together? But I want to bring out two things. One is that you are talking about the sensuality of the feminine. One might even be a little worried that you're presenting a body of knowledge that's slightly hedonistic. You know, the sensuality, and there are programs like that being offered.
Yes.
But on the other hand, you're also talking about it is a resource for when we are called to leadership, when we are called to doing something more than our everyday survival. So help us bridge those two things, please.
Right. So when I listen to you, I go back to the idea, and I did an episode on this probably 9 months ago on pleasure, power, and prosperity. And it came out of a conversation that you and I actually had related to money and to our life's work. And I want to go back to that pleasure principle. And yes, there is that more, we'll say, hedonistic end of the continuum, where pleasure is, I'm going to say, a way of stimulating to numb or distract or disconnect people. I think we are seeing many ways in which people are, quote, pleasure seeking as a means to escape or disconnect from what's present, true, or real in their day-to-day lives. And the sensual pleasure that I teach about and that I'm speaking about is this brings tears to my eyes. Is all about fully inhabiting your body and being present.
Wow.
Yeah, to being present to what's true in any given moment, and allowing that to be a guide and a balm and a inspiration, really to show the way.
So that's a huge distinction. I'm deepening into and appreciating that what might be widely accepted in mass consciousness is pleasure almost as a way to medicate.
Yes.
And that what you are talking about when you talk about the sensual as an expression of the sacred feminine is really a way to be fully here, fully present. So definitely a I don't want to say healing, but definitely a way to inhabit more. I think that's the word that you use. I'm very struck by that, by the distinction. So,
Thank you. Yes, and thanks for that focusing question. It really is deeply entering. It's entering the body. It's entering the emotional body. It's entering our nervous system in a whole different way. And the fact that we have access, as I've said, I feel like I keep repeating myself in this way, but there are dimensions of life and of sensation and of experience that for the most part we're not open to, or we're not accessing, because we haven't, I'm going to say, like, we haven't turned it on yet in our systems. We have the to use the computer analogy, we have the code or the program. It just has not been activated yet.
yes.
It hasn't been activated yet, and it is my great pleasure and honor to be a voice for this and to share about what's possible. And the truth of the matter is this body of work emerged in the course of the 3 most challenging years probably of my adult life. Like this was not like sitting on the edge of the stream eating the proverbial bonbons. This was being taken to the heart of my most challenging experiences as a human being.
Yes.
As a human being. Anyway,
But
go
that's
ahead.
but that's exactly what you're saying, which is delighting me and inspiring me at the same time. It is in the moment where you were in the most pain that you were shown a way. We might say we live in a society where pain is to be avoided at all costs. There's a pill for everything. There's a yoga system for everything. There is an exercise program that can take us away from the pain. But what you were led to, it seems, is a way of being and a way of experiencing that said pain is to be embraced.
Mm.
Go ahead.
Yeah, yes, I would say it maybe a bit differently. It's embraced, yes, but it's the portal.
Yes.
It's the portal, and so it's not embracing it like to the extent of indulging it or holding on. It's the way through.
Mm-hmm.
It's the way through, and it's that whole truism where they say pain is a part of life, but suffering is optional. So yes, we are going to face pain in our lives, and we don't have to suffer. And this is a piece of that. It's learning how to receive the nourishment which is being presented to us, and we're being held in this nourishing container that we can get everything we need and then some in real time, in the moment, to address excuse me, whatever it is we need to face. So whether it's adversity, whether it's challenge, whether it's expanding and opening to our most full and glorious self. Like, it's here, it's all here. And learning the process of how do I open to that ongoing? How do I shift gears to, as I said, activate the program within us so that we can be this powerful receptor and receiver of that?
Wow. So I have a question. I hope it doesn't take us off topic, Joni. You said pain is part of life. Suffering is optional. Pain is a portal. Is pleasure, as in the sensuality, is that also a part of life and a portal?
So it is most definitely a portal, and we are hardwired for pleasure. So we come into this world in these little bodies needing pleasure in order to thrive. Failure to thrive, and this is more your area as a retired doctor, but failure to thrive really has a lot to do with lack of, this is my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, that's that contact, like skin to skin contact. Like, babies need that. They need that skin to skin, that sensual, yummy holding, that cooing, and that, the eye contact back and forth. Those ways that we drop into pleasure together as human beings is a driving force.
This happens to us, but I just went into a whole other world, because yes, you're absolutely right. The term failure to thrive came out of research that showed that babies, when properly cleaned and fed but without the human contact, without human touch and interaction, would not grow. So that's where the medical term failure to thrive came. But I said, as you were talking, I said, oh my God, what failure to thrive. So many women today are saying, I'm tired of just making it. I'm tired of just surviving. I want to thrive. So we could use that term to say, to bring women to the awareness. Are you failing to thrive? And could it be that research applies to us, not just in infancy, but to us in these latter part of our life trajectory? I don't mean latter, like in the 40s, 50s.
Yes.
We are asking these questions. Could it be that we have neglected the eye contact, the skin to skin, the sensual aspects of living?
Yes, I believe we have. I believe, especially in our Western culture, I believe we absolutely have, and we are paying a price. For that. We're paying a price for that. So
in what ways is your body of work and upcoming program, Sumptuous Living, in what ways are they an antidote, if I could use that word, to this price that we're paying?
So I do, thank you for mentioning it. I do have this 6-month offering that will come up this December. It is the solstice to the solstice will take place, the winter solstice to the summer solstice. And I'm going to diverge just a teeny bit. What I love about starting at the time of the winter solstice is that entering the darkness entering the darkness, the fertile, rich, loamy darkness of the longest night of the year. And then in a way, it's like rebirthing ourselves and using 6 months to practice how to receive and how to activate this program, within us that allows us then to head into the fullness of summer and being able to receive in the most amplified way. So to take 6 months of the whole program is really practice based. So it's exploring different facets of how do I open? How do I activate this? How do I become more receptive in these various ways? And pleasure is one of the pieces that we explore. It's one of the portals that we explore in that program and in that process. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely. You said pleasure is one of the portals or one of the practices. What are some of the others?
So, of course, the sensual body is our first and main portal, and then we work with pleasure. I also love to work with, and we will be working with, the idea of communion, which is I'm starting to hear more about, but is like underrated, underreported, underspoken about. So communion in all the ways that are possible, whether it's human to human, human to natural world, human to spiritual dimension, because I do also want to say that this is almost like a mystic training program. It really is a training process, or it is an immersion process, and it is a mystical opening, but it's learning how to cultivate that process for yourself. So it's a process of becoming more full of you. And I've talked about this before in other episodes, like the importance of becoming as full of yourself as you possibly can. And then I'm jumping around a little bit, but the other portal and the other place of inquiry that we do quite a lot with is the whole concept of trust your sacred feminine flow. So that whole dimension of receiving and opening and being a conduit, which you and I have talked about, like as we step into our leadership, that opening to being the conduit and the expression of what wants to come through us.
Well, wow. I'm going to highlight what you said. The portals will be exploring the sensual body. Number 2, exploring communion. And number 3, exploring being a channel for the flow and trusting the flow. And once again, I'm struck, and you even said it's a mystical journey and a mystical training. Tell me again how that prepares women who feel called to a special kind of leadership. Because, we could get lost in the mystical aspect, but that's not what you're saying. You're saying this has a very practical application in a world that, as we know, is challenging right now and very challenged right now. So from the mystical to leadership in a very difficult world, bridge that for us, please.
Sure. So I do want to add that in addition to those portals that you named, we also work with as I said, the pleasure and also beauty
Mm.
as one of those, excuse me, one of those portals. So the mystics, the archetype or the mystic, or the capacity of the mystic is to experience the sacred dimension of life in all forms, in all experiences. And so, in order for us to step up into our next level of leadership or showing up, as I said, we need that backing. We need that. It's like putting our roots deep into the richest soil with the best fertilizer and with the best sunshine and just the right amount of rain. It provides for us a resilience and a strength and a capacity that, again, going back to that idea of thriving,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
or being capable of having the largest impact, we have to have the resource to sustain it. We cannot sustain it if we are undernourished, if we are not fed and supported and backed up in the ways that we need. We can't create at the level that we want to. We can't reach, we can't serve, we can't transmit as powerfully as we would like to. And again, whether that's being an aligned parent or caregiver or loved one in a partnership relationship, or whether it's leading a movement, having access to those layers of resource, it's a game changer.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I hope that answers your question.
It definitely does. I'm receiving. It's making me, what you said about putting our roots in the best conditions so that we have resources, we have abundant resources for impact, for reach, for creativity, and for service. It's making me take a deep breath. It's kind of an exhale. And what I'm called to ask next, Joni, is who is this for? Who are these new leaders that are being called to leadership and that perhaps have never thought of themselves as leadership material or leaders?
Well, first of all, I want to say that, in my opinion, I believe that we as women, that we are the unsung leaders in our families, in our communities, in our worlds, that we are the heart and the soul of the human family.
Yes, but we don't often think of ourselves as leaders.
No.
And so we might be in our own interior, in our own hearts and soul, we might be hearing a siren song, a kind of a calling towards leadership and saying, well, that couldn't possibly be for me. And yet it seems like your program has an answer and a practice for us so that we begin to think of ourselves as a new type of leader.
Yes. And I love some of the teachers and mentors that I've worked with. They refer to leadership as service. And I believe most every woman I've ever met is aware of providing some kind of service in their life. So whether it's in a paid job or in their own business, or again, going back to being in a family or a community, those acts of service. So this program is really, you don't have to fit some idea that you might, some prescribed idea you might have in your mind for a leader, or I'm called to be a leader. I am saying at this point in our history as a collective, we, the planet, and everybody on it needs all of us to show up and put our best foot forward, to leave an impression in the positive sense. And what I mean by that is to be kind, to be open-hearted, to be generous, to be loving. And I know that we're all human, and of course we're not there 24/7 every day, but to move through your life in that way is an act of service. So whether you are, as I said, feeling called to do something where you are, quote, leading a movement or becoming a teacher or serving, maybe you're called to serve the animal kingdom or to be involved in your community in some way as a volunteer. If you feel like you have an impact to make, and if you feel like having more resource or having more access to whether it's your higher self or to the more full dimensions of who you are as a being, as well as the exquisite support that is, it's here. I'm telling you, it's here. I've seen it. I've had visions. I've opened to it. I've helped other people access it. If you want access to that, then this program is for you. If you would like to learn how to receive it, I would say this would be a great place to start.
Wow.
So deep breath with that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if you're interested in exploring the program, and again, it will begin on the winter solstice, which is December 21st, you can check out on my webpage. And also, if you go to sacredfeminineflow.com, you can see the information and the details about the program. And there should be a place there just to sign up and register your interest if you're interested in it. So I'm getting those pieces put in place, but by the time this goes live, that should all be in place for you. Anything else on your end? Semerit?
I'm wowed. I'm wowed by the fact that our planet is in need of brand new leadership. The leadership that's been prevalent has taken us to where we are today, and we do need new leadership. And the new leadership may not think of itself or herself as leaders, and that you have this gentle, practice-based body of work that says these things that we women do naturally, like breathe and move and appreciate beauty and appreciate flow, are the very things that will take us into that place of leadership, that will support us so we don't feel alone and scared as we move into that place of new leadership. I feel that it's a great gift to the planet, a great gift to the women who will feel called to come together and appreciate that communion and that being resourced before we go, quote unquote, out there. It seems as if the leadership you're talking about is not so much putting yourself out there as much as it is put yourself more in here. And that from the in here, the very organic process of moving out into the world, just like a plant moving into the atmosphere from being underground, is very organic. That it feels so gentle and nourishing. I'm ready to wholeheartedly endorse this. Yeah. What a great gift. What a great gift to women, and what a great gift to the planet. So thank you, Joni, for bringing this forward.
My pleasure. And I'm doing the deep bow. And I do want to just share one final piece, that as you were speaking, Semerit, the vision I received was really, it is about leadership as being a conduit. Like
yes.
our giving is as a conduit, that we are never giving from kind of our inner resources. It's really, it is that sacred feminine flow. It's the tapping into that flow that wants to be expressed through us and that we have access to, and giving and creating and experiencing life from that.
Wow.
So, dear beloved, thank you for being with us on this journey and for tuning in today. And I want to remind you, as always, because it does matter, is to trust what your heart knows.
Thanks for listening to Trust Your Sacred Feminine Flow with Joni Advent Maher. If you like what you heard, the best compliment you can give us is to share our podcast with a friend and subscribe, rate, and review our podcast at iTunes.